Meteorologist Mark with a quick update on your weather. Let's take a look at North America here. Here we've got a frontal boundary that's stalled out across the northern states, and this is going to be the focal point for a storm in the southern Ontario, southern Quebec, and it's going to brush northern New England this weekend. This is the temperatures we've got. We've got a lot of cold air over New England here and New York, Pennsylvania. We're in the 20s and teens here, some single digits in northern Maine and the southern provinces of Canada here. We've got some overrunning moisture. Most of it's virga though. It's moisture that's not reaching the ground. So in the midsection here we've got a warm up, 60s all the way north into Oklahoma, and here in the west very temperate 50s and 60s with some 30s and 40s in the Pacific Northwest. Things are going to remain very quiet out here with a light system moving into the Pacific Northwest that I'll get to. So let's head right on into liquid precipitation. You can see across the northeast, that is where we're going to get into some of that liquid equivalent, approaching a quarter to a half an inch of liquid. And I'll show you those snowfall amounts in the storm track of that storm. And here in the Pacific Northwest, in a couple days, in about 24 48 hours, we're going to see a system moving in later this weekend, but it's going to be very light, a quarter to a half an inch of liquid precipitation. Snow levels should be at about 2,500 feet along the Cascades of Washington and Oregon. So let's get right into snowfall amounts across northern New England. You've got anywhere from, say, 2 to 4 inches widespread from northern New York, Messina, over to Burlington, and heading on over into northern Maine, where we could get upwards of 3 to 6 inches, possibly 8 inches, just north of Caribou, Maine here. So that's what we're looking at for snowfall. You can see this is the track of that storm. So let's get right into next week's storm, the 25th. The Euro and the GFS are starting to come in more in alignment with each other. I was waiting for the Euro run to come in yesterday, so I kind of jumped the gun with the GFS, and the GFS of course went with the Colorado low, but the GFS has come more south, and I've got the newest Euro run, which is bringing the storm across the mid-Atlantic, tracking it across Maryland and the southern Pennsylvania border, and that pushes east across, and I'm not seeing any hints of coastal development, but guess what? It's pretty far out, so we could have a coastal development, even though the models aren't indicating it just yet, after the system moves east. And north of that low pressure, that's where we'll see the snow across most of the Midwest. Keep in mind, this low pressure is going to track across the Midwestern, central Midwestern states, and head across southern Pennsylvania, northern Maryland, and then head off the coast. The GFS is a little further north, but at this point I think I'm going to side with the Euro, being that there's so much, very little difference now between the GFS and the Euro. And the Euro is pretty good consistently when it comes to long-range forecasting. Euro does have very good input when it comes to, say, all of this cold air. We have a lot of cold air in place, and the one thing that's going to make a difference, whether you get snow or mixed precipitation or rain, we think the rain will be much further south. Even though we could have some overrunning precipitation, most of it should stay snow across the mid-Atlantic in parts of New England. It's south into southern Virginia, in these areas down into the central Appalachians. That's where we could get the mixed precipitation over to sleet and freezing rain. So some places may see an ice storm, but most areas will remain a snowstorm. That coastal storm for the 21st, the models are not grasping it very well, so I'm not going to talk about that. The storm on the 25th, though, that bears watching, and the model trend might continue just slightly further south. We'll continue to watch that. Other than that, it's going to be a very quiet and chilly weekend across the north, and a very temperate and mild weekend across the southern states, especially in the southern plains. I'm meteorologist Mark Molnar. Like us on Facebook at MeteoMark. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. Here's a 4-day forecast for my hometown viewers from Binghamton to Elmira in the northern tier counties of Pennsylvania.